Marcus Chin wiped the grease from his hands and stared at the broken engine in front of him. Another long day on Epsilon Station, another pile of repairs that never seemed to end. The station hummed with life above him, but down here in the lower decks, it was just him and the smell of oil and metal. He was working on a Vraxian cargo hauler when he heard it. A sound so soft he almost missed it over the noise of his tools. A whimper. Then another one, weak and scared. Marcus put down his wrench and listened. The sound came from the back of the cargo bay, from a stack of metal crates waiting to be moved. He walked closer, following the noise. There, in the darkest corner, sat a small containment crate. It was dirty and scratched, with barely any air holes. The whimpering came from inside. Marcus knelt down and peered through the gaps in the metal. Two pink eyes stared back at him from the darkness. Small, terrified, and so very tired. "Hey there," Marcus whispered. His heart broke at what he saw. The creature inside was tiny, covered in matted white fur. It looked like a wolf pup, but its fur was pure white like snow, and its eyes were the soft pink of an albino. The pup was so thin Marcus could see its ribs. It shivered in the cold metal box, curled up on nothing but bare floor. "What are you doing down here, little one?" Marcus reached for the crate's lock. "Do not touch that." A harsh voice made Marcus jump. The Vraxian merchant stomped over, his 6 legs clicking on the metal floor. "That is auction property. You break it, you buy it." Marcus stood up slowly. "What is this? Why is there a baby animal locked in this box?" The Vraxian made a dismissive gesture with 2 of his arms. "Defective specimen from the ice planet Norvith. Born wrong. White fur, pink eyes. Very bad luck in my culture. Very ugly. Cannot sell it to normal buyers. So you're just keeping it in this crate?" Marcus felt anger rising in his chest. "It goes to auction tonight. Maybe someone buys it for experiments. Maybe no one buys it." The Vraxian shrugged. "Then we dispose of it. Either way, not my problem after tonight." Marcus looked back at the crate. The pup had pressed itself against the far wall, trying to disappear. Its small body trembled with fear and cold. "How much?" Marcus asked. The Vraxian laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "You want to buy it now? Save yourself trouble, human. It will die anyway. Waste of credits." "How much at auction?" "Starting bid is 500 credits. But nobody will bid. Who wants ugly, cursed creature?" The Vraxian walked back to his ship. "Auction starts at sunset. Bay 17. Bring credits if you are stupid enough." Marcus waited until the merchant left. Then he knelt by the crate again. The pup was watching him with those strange pink eyes. Something in that gaze reminded Marcus of home, of Earth, of the wolves that used to run free in the forest before they disappeared. "Hold on," Marcus whispered to the pup. "Just hold on until tonight." The pup made a small sound, not quite a whimper, not quite a whine. It was the sound of something that had given up hope. Marcus checked his credit account on his wrist device. 520 credits. That was everything he had saved. His food money. His emergency fund. Everything. He looked at the pup one more time. It had closed its eyes, too exhausted even to be afraid anymore. Marcus made his decision. Tonight he would go to that auction. Tonight he would spend every credit he had. Because that pup deserved a chance, even if the whole galaxy thought it was worthless. Sometimes being human meant doing something foolish. And Marcus had never felt more human than he did right now. Marcus stood at the back of the auction hall, his hands shaking slightly. He had never been to one of these fancy events before. The room was huge, with high ceilings that sparkled with holographic lights. Aliens from dozens of different species filled the seats, all of them rich and powerful. Their expensive clothes and jewels caught the light. Marcus looked down at his worn mechanic's uniform and felt very small. The auction had been going on for an hour already. Marcus watched as incredible creatures were brought onto the stage one by one. A serpent that glowed blue and green sold for 10,000 credits. A bird that could sing in any language sold for 15,000. Every time something appeared, the aliens would bid higher and higher, shouting numbers that made Marcus's head spin. Then the mood in the room changed. The auctioneer, a tall Zelthian with purple skin, stepped forward. His face twisted into something like disgust. "Our next item is unusual. Some might say unfortunate. From the ice planet Norvith we have this creature." 2 handlers carried out the small crate. They dropped it roughly on the stage floor. The sound made Marcus wince. Through the bars he could see the white pup pressed against the back wall, shaking with fear. "An albino wolf specimen," the auctioneer continued. "As you can see, it suffers from a genetic defect. White fur, pink eyes. Considered cursed by many species. We start the bidding at 500 credits. Silence filled the hall. Then someone laughed. Soon others joined in. It looks like a ghost, one alien shouted. Who would want such an ugly thing? Another called out. Cursed creature. Get it off the stage, a third voice yelled. The auctioneer looked uncomfortable. 400 credits? Anyone? This is a rare specimen after all. More laughter. Marcus saw the pup trying to make itself smaller in the crate. His heart pounded in his chest. 300 credits? The auctioneer's voice grew desperate. 200? Surely someone wants this for research purposes? Still no one bid. Marcus saw his chance. He raised his hand high. 500 credits, he shouted over the noise. The entire hall went quiet. Hundreds of alien eyes turned to stare at him. Marcus felt his face grow hot, but he kept his hand up. The auctioneer blinked in surprise. We have a bid of 500 credits from the human in the back. Do I hear 600? A large Karathi near the front turned around to look at Marcus. His scales were golden and he wore rings on all his fingers. He was clearly very rich. This was Lord Vexthor, though Marcus did not know his name yet. Let the human have it, Vexthor said loudly. He laughed and others laughed with him. Only humans would waste money on something so broken and worthless. They always pick up trash and call it treasure. Humans have soft hearts and soft heads, another alien agreed. Let him waste his credits. The auctioneer looked around the room one last time. 500 credits going once, twice. Sold to the human. Marcus pushed through the crowd to the front. His legs felt weak, but he made himself walk steadily. He paid his credits, watching his account drop to almost nothing. 20 credits left. That was all he had in the world now. The handlers started to carry the crate away, but Marcus stopped them. I'll take him now. He opened the crate himself, slowly and carefully. The pup looked up at him with those pink eyes, still terrified, still expecting more pain. It's okay, Marcus said softly. You're safe now. I promise. He reached in and gently lifted the pup out. The little wolf was so light, too light. Marcus could feel every bone. He tucked the pup inside his jacket to keep it warm. Behind him, aliens whispered and laughed. But Marcus did not care. He carried his new friend out of that hall with his head high. Ghost? Marcus whispered to the pup. That's what I'll call you. Because you're white like a ghost and because everyone thought you didn't matter. But you do. You matter to me. The first night was the hardest. Ghost refused to eat. He just lay in the corner of Marcus's small quarters, watching everything with fearful eyes. Marcus sat on the floor across from him, not moving closer, just being there. I know you're scared, Marcus said quietly. But I won't hurt you. I promise. He pushed a bowl of food closer to Ghost, then moved back. Hours passed. Finally, when Marcus pretended to sleep, he heard small sounds. Ghost crept forward and ate a little bit. It was a start. Days turned into weeks. Marcus spent every free moment with Ghost. He could not afford proper pet food, so he shared his own meals. Sometimes that meant Marcus went hungry, but he did not mind. Watching Ghost grow stronger was worth it. Marcus searched through old Earth files on his computer, reading everything about wolves. He learned how they thought, how they played, how they bonded. Every morning before work, he would sit with Ghost and talk to him in a calm voice. Every evening, he would gently brush Ghost's fur until it shone. Slowly, Ghost began to change. First, he stopped flinching when Marcus moved. Then he started following Marcus around the small room. One morning, Marcus woke up to find Ghost sleeping at the foot of his bed. That day, Marcus smiled more than he had in years. Marcus used spare parts from his workshop to make toys. He built a ball from old rubber seals and tied rope from unused cables. Ghost learned to play, something he had never done in that cold crate. The sound of Ghost's happy noises filled the quarters with life. But life on the station was not easy. When Marcus tried to buy supplies at the market, a Drolith shopkeeper pointed at Ghost and shook his head. No. I do not sell to humans who waste resources on cursed creatures. That thing should have died. Marcus had to find another shop, one run by a kinder alien who did not care what Ghost looked like. Other workers on the station would cross to the other side of the corridor when they saw Marcus and Ghost coming. Some made rude gestures. A few spat on the ground. But Marcus kept walking with his head high, and Ghost stayed close by his side. 3 months passed. Ghost was no longer a tiny, scared pup. He had grown into a beautiful young wolf with thick white fur and intelligent pink eyes. He learned commands in English and even some in Mandarin. He was gentle, loyal, and surprisingly smart. One day, Marcus was walking Ghost through Junction Corridor 7, a busy area where many aliens worked. Ghost suddenly stopped walking. His ears went flat against his head. He started pulling Marcus backward, whining urgently. "What's wrong, boy?" Marcus asked. Ghost barked, something he rarely did. He pulled harder, trying to drag Marcus away from the corridor. Then Marcus smelled it too. Yes. A very faint smell, but it was there. "Gas leak!" Marcus shouted. "Everyone out. Now!" 3 Vraxian workers looked up from their tasks, confused. They could not smell what Ghost had detected. Marcus ran toward them, Ghost at his side. "There's a gas leak. Run!" Marcus yelled. The workers saw the panic in his eyes and ran. They all made it to the safe zone just seconds before a small explosion rocked the corridor. Flames shot out from a broken pipe where the workers had been standing. Emergency systems kicked in, putting out the fire. Station security came running. One of the Vraxian workers, the same species as the merchant who had sold Ghost, approached Marcus slowly. "Your wolf," he knew. He smelled the gas before our sensors detected it. The Vraxian looked at Ghost with new eyes. "He saved our lives." Word spread quickly through the station. The cursed creature, the ugly albino wolf that nobody wanted, had saved 3 lives. Some aliens still avoided Ghost, but others started to nod at Marcus when he passed. A few even smiled. That night, Marcus hugged Ghost close. "Good boy," he whispered. "You're a hero, Ghost. You're my hero." Ghost licked Marcus's face, his tail wagging. He was home. He was loved. And he was no longer afraid. Marcus was fixing a ship engine when station security found him. 2 large officers stood at his workshop door, their faces serious. "Marcus Chin? You need to come with us. Now." Marcus's heart dropped. "What's wrong? Did I do something?" "There's a legal claim against you. Bring the wolf." Ghost growled softly, sensing Marcus's fear. Marcus picked up Ghost's leash with shaking hands and followed the officers. They walked through the station to the legal department, a place Marcus had never been before. Inside a large office sat Lord Vexthor, the wealthy Karathi who had laughed at Marcus during the auction. He smiled when Marcus entered, but it was not a kind smile. "Ah, the human mechanic," Vexthor said. His golden scales caught the light. "And my wolf." "Your wolf?" Marcus stepped forward. "Ghost is mine. I bought him fairly at the auction." Vexthor laughed. "You bought him through fraud. You knew his true value and hid it from everyone." "What are you talking about?" A station legal officer, a thin Questari with gray skin, opened a file on her desk. "Lord Vexthor claims that albino wolves from planet Norvith are sacred guardians in the Andromedian Empire. They are worth millions of credits. He says you knew this and cheated at the auction." Marcus felt dizzy. "Millions? I didn't know. I just saw a scared puppy that needed help." "Of course you would say that," Vexthor said smoothly. "But the law is clear. If auction fraud is proven, the sale is void. The wolf returns to the original seller, who has agreed to sell him to me for the proper price." "This is insane." Marcus looked at the legal officer. "I saved Ghost. I fed him. I took care of him when everyone else thought he was worthless." The officer looked uncomfortable. "A tribunal will decide. It meets in 2 days. Until then." She nodded to the security officers. "No," Marcus said, backing away. "You can't take him. The wolf must stay in Lord Vexthor's custody during the trial," the officer said. "Station law requires it." 2 handlers approached with a high-tech leash and muzzle. Ghost saw them coming and pressed against Marcus's legs. When they reached for him, Ghost bared his teeth and snarled. "Ghost, no," Marcus said, his voice breaking. "It's okay, boy." But Ghost would not let them touch him. He snapped at their hands, protecting Marcus. The handlers backed away. "See," Vexthor said. "The animal is dangerous. It needs proper training, which only I can provide." Marcus knelt down and held Ghost's face gently. "Listen to me, boy. I need you to go with them. Just for 2 days. I promise I'll get you back. I promise." Ghost whined, a heartbreaking sound. But he trusted Marcus. When Marcus stood up, Ghost allowed the handlers to attach the leash. As they led him away, Ghost kept looking back at Marcus, his pink eyes full of confusion and fear. That night Marcus could not sleep. His quarters felt empty without Ghost's warm presence. He spent the whole night searching for help. He asked other human workers on the station for advice. They pooled their credits together, but it was not enough for a good lawyer. Marcus worked triple shifts trying to raise more money. He barely slept. He barely ate. All he could think about was Ghost, alone and scared, wondering why Marcus had abandoned him. On the morning of the trial, A human cargo pilot knocked on Marcus's door. "We all chipped in," she said, handing him a credit chip. "It's not much, but maybe it helps." Marcus looked at the amount. 2,000 credits. It was still not enough for a real lawyer, but it meant everything to him. "Thank you," he whispered. He walked to the tribunal hall with heavy steps. The system was designed for the rich and powerful. Marcus was just a mechanic with barely any money. But he would fight anyway. For Ghost, he would fight until he had nothing left. The tribunal hall was filled with important aliens. 5 judges sat at a high table looking down at Marcus. Lord Vexthor sat on the other side with 3 expensive lawyers. Marcus stood alone. Vexthor's lawyers spoke first. They had charts and data and expert testimonies. They explained how albino wolves were sacred animals worth millions. They said Marcus must have known this and tricked everyone at the auction. Marcus had no fancy lawyers or charts. When it was his turn to speak, he just told the truth. "I didn't know Ghost was worth money. I still don't care about that. I saw a baby animal that was scared and dying and I wanted to help. That's all." One judge, a large Braxian, laughed. "You expect us to believe you spent all your money for nothing? Humans may be foolish, but not that foolish." "Humans are exactly that foolish," Marcus said quietly. "We save things that others throw away. We care about things that others call worthless. Maybe that makes us stupid. But it also makes us human." Vexthor stood up, his golden scales shining. "I can give the wolf everything it needs. The best food, the best care, the best trainers. What can this mechanic offer? A tiny room and scraps from his plate?" The judges nodded. It seemed the decision was already made. Then a different judge spoke. She was a Gerathian with kind eyes and silver fur. "I want to see the wolf," she said. "Bring it here." Handlers brought Ghost into the hall. Marcus's heart broke when he saw him. Ghost looked thin again, sad again. Like he had in that crate so many months ago. When Ghost saw Marcus, he pulled hard on the leash, whining. "Stay, Ghost," Marcus called out, though it hurt to say it. Ghost obeyed, but his whole body shook with the effort. The Gerathian judge stood up. "I propose a test. Remove the wolf's leash. Let him choose." "That is not proper procedure," another judge argued. "I invoke Article 7 of Galactic Treaty 2247, the Gerathian said firmly. "The right of bonded beings to choose their companion." The other judges looked surprised but nodded. The handlers removed Ghost's leash and collar. He was completely free. Vexthor smiled. He pulled out premium food, the kind that cost more than Marcus earned in a week. "Come here, wolf. Look what I have for you. Come." Ghost looked at the food. He took one step toward Vexthor. Marcus felt his heart break into pieces. Of course Ghost would choose the rich alien who could give him everything. But then Ghost stopped. He turned his head and looked at Marcus. Their eyes met across the hall. Marcus knelt down and opened his arms. He did not call Ghost. He did not offer food or tricks. He just opened his arms and waited. Ghost ran. He ran past the expensive food, past the rich Karathi with all his promises. He ran straight to Marcus and jumped into his arms, licking his face and whining with joy. Marcus hugged Ghost tight, tears running down his face. "Good boy," he whispered. "My good boy." The Gerathian judge smiled. The bond is clear. According to Galactic Treaty 2247, when a sentient being and an animal form a true bond, that bond is protected by law. The wolf has chosen. The case is dismissed. Vexthor stood up, angry. "This is not fair. I can give him more." "You can give him things," the Gerathian judge said. "But the human gave him love. That is worth more than all your credits." Marcus walked out of that hall with Ghost by his side. Other humans who worked on the station were waiting outside. They cheered and clapped. Some of them cried too. Word spread through the galaxy about the human who fought for a wolf nobody wanted. Other aliens started bringing unwanted creatures to Marcus. A blind bird. A 3-legged lizard. A cat with broken wings. Marcus helped them all. His small quarters became a shelter. And Ghost was always there, helping Marcus show the galaxy what it meant to have a human heart. To see worth where others saw nothing. To love what others called unlovable. That was the human way. And it was beautiful.